Hello and welcome back to Football Daily, where today we're making an 11 of the worst signings of this summer's transfer window. Goalkeeper, Robin Olsen. With Olsen leaving Roma to become the most expensive goalkeeper of all time, the Giallorossi need to make a top-class signing between the sticks to appease their fans. Thibaut Courtois and Areola were both rumoured, but in the end, sporting director Monchi paid €12 million for Copenhagen's keeper, Robin Olsen. The 6'6" Swede enjoyed a strong World Cup with his country, reaching the quarter-finals, but that was the most high-profile moment in an otherwise quiet career. The stopper has won 4 titles, but only played in Denmark, Sweden and Greece, and while his international performances earned him plaudits, as Sweden kept 3 clean sheets in 5 games in Russia, that was largely the product of a tight defence, which only required him to make 2 saves a match. That's the same as Jordan Pickford. With Szczesny at rivals Juve and Alisson at Liverpool, Roma have now lost 2 first-choice keepers in over a year. Fortunately for them, those days are probably over, but only because Olsen is unlikely to garner the same interest. Defender, Yuri. A year ago, we had no idea who Yuri Berchiche was, and we basically still have no idea today, despite the Spaniard racking up a total of €40 million in transfer fees over the last 12 months. A surprise addition to Paris Saint-Germain's squad in 2017, Yuri started half of the club's Ligue 1 games. But with the left-back now 28, an offer of €24 million from Athletic Club was too good to pass up. The Lions are hamstrung by their policy of only signing Basque players, and Arsenal's refusal to do business over Nacho Monreal has left them with little option but to overpay for Yuri, who spent 2 years in their academy before finishing his education with Tottenham. The Spaniard is not a bad player, regaining possession 3 times a match and boasting a 70% aerial win rate. But even in PSG's dominant side, he still created under a chance a game. A problem for a side which had the 7th worst attack in La Liga last season. Overall, Yuri seems unlikely to move the needle for Athletic Club, and after they came 16th in La Liga in 2017-18, an expensive flop is the last thing they need. Defender, Sokratis. There are 2 main types of centre-backs, the aggressive destroyer who steps out of the back line to win the ball, and the conservative sweeper who tidies up whatever gets past his partner. Sokratis is the first kind, like Laurent Koscielny, and so a €16 million transfer from Dortmund to Arsenal made some sense after the Frenchman's Achilles rupture. Because he's so proactive, Sokratis tends to look good on paper. Last year he won the ball back 3.6 times a game, and throughout his time in Germany he maintained a very strong 66% aerial win rate. However, he can be extremely rash, averaging between 1.5 and 2 fouls per game at Borussia Dortmund, a similar number to the hot-headed Granit Xhaka, but much more of a liability given Sokratis' position. Just as troubling, Sokratis is already 30 and joins a squad which is older than its top 5 rivals, meaning that the Greek defender needs to have an immediate impact to make his acquisition worthwhile. Whether he's the man who can finally fix the Gunners' back line remains to be seen. Defender, Romario Funes Mori. Villarreal have traditionally had an excellent defence. During Marcelino's reign, the club twice conceded under a goal a game in La Liga, and solid defenders like Matteo Musacchio, Gabriel and Eric Bailly have moved to bigger clubs for big fees. Now, the Yellow Submarine have taken on their biggest challenge yet, bringing in Funes Mori, the 27-year-old Everton centre-back, to help out at the back. But he doesn't arrive at a solid Villarreal side. In 2017-18, the Yellow Submarine conceded 50 goals, their worst tally since returning to the top flight in 2013. And rather than an error-prone, overpriced 27-year-old, the club need young blood, with 4 of their starting defenders, 27, 28, 29 and 30, and even 37-year-old Daniele Bonera, seeing significant minutes. To make matters worse, Funes Mori is coming off a knee injury which saw him play 4 minutes in all competitions for the Toffees last year. And in the 2 seasons he was a regular, they conceded 99 goals in 76 matches. Good luck to the Yellow Submarine, although they could find themselves sinking yet again. Midfielder, Andre Schurrle. Last year we put Andre Schurrle in our waste of money 11, and 12 months later, Fulham have decided to get on Borussia Dortmund's act, agreeing an initial loan for the German forward, which could become permanent in 2019. The 27-year-old, who is still Dortmund's most expensive signing ever, has been at the Westfalenstadion for 2 years, but in that time has only managed 8 goals in all competitions, despite making 51 appearances. Signed by Thomas Tuchel, who he'd previously worked with at Mainz, Schurrle failed to establish himself in the BVB first team, even after the departures of Emre Mor and Ousmane Dembele in 2017, meaning that he has not played more than 2,000 minutes in a league campaign since he left Leverkusen for Chelsea back in 2013. The 12-13 season was also the last time Schurrle got into double figures in the league, and after making 10 international appearances that year, he has made just 8 in the last 3. And with Fulham's Ryan Sessegnon scoring 15 from the left last term, just one fewer than Schurrle has managed since 2014, it's hard to see sense handing the German a hefty wage. Midfielder Thomas Delaney. Thomas Delaney's move to Borussia Dortmund sums up their last year. In much the same way they sacked the underrated Thomas Tuchel to bring in overrated Peter Bosz, they now seem set to relegate one of Julian Weigl or Mahmoud Dahoud to the bench to make room for Delaney, who joins them from Bremen for a pricey €20 million. Add-ons could boost the deal up to €27 million, which could take Delaney from Dortmund's 9th most expensive transfer to their 4th. And it's hard to see what's special about the Danish international. While he puts up a very credible 4 tackles and interceptions a game, he offers very little in other departments. Last season he created just 30 chances in 32 appearances, and he's not hugely press resistant, with 8 dribbles completed all season. And while his elegant left foot makes passing look good, Delaney has averaged a 72 completion rate in the Bundesliga, shocking for a midfielder and worse than any Dortmund player except keeper Roman Berchiche. At 26, Delaney is extremely unlikely to add more to his game, and it seems like the kind of mediocre, unambitious signing that could guarantee to keep Dortmund in Bayern's shadow for years to come. Midfielder William Carvalho. After years of will they won't they Premier League rumours, William Carvalho has finally escaped Sporting Lisbon, but not for West Ham, Arsenal or Man City. Instead, the Portuguese has joined Real Betis, and though Carvalho has cancelled his contract with Sporting, which should have enabled a free transfer, the Andalusians paid €20 million to smooth things over with the Lions. A big lumbering battleship, Carvalho will not be expected to join the attack, but patrol the area in front of the defence. But his stats make his role seem like an overreach. Last season in Liga NOS, Carvalho made 3 tackles and interceptions a game, while Fabian Ruiz, the attacking midfielder Betis sold to Napoli, produced 4.2. The one positive is that Carvalho is a better defender than Betis' current holding midfielder Javi Garcia, as well as being in his prime at 26, 5 years younger than the former Manchester City player. But with a little resale value if he flops and tougher opposition in La Liga, Carvalho could prove a costly error. Midfielder Simone Verdi. On face value, Verdi's switch from Napoli seems like a savvy move. The Italian scored 10 and assisted 10 with Bologna last season, meaning that he was involved in more league goals than Lorenzo Insigne and everyone else at his new club, except Dries Mertens. But according to expected goals, Verdi's predicted output would have been a combined 14 goals and assists, a drop from Christian Eriksen's level to Jose Perez's. Now, we're not going to pretend that this isn't solid, but it shakes out a goal contribution every 203 minutes, the same as Xherdan Shaqiri, and while Shaqiri cost Liverpool €15 million, Verdi set the partner pay back around €25 million, the 4th highest fee in their history. That's pretty steep, given that his shot numbers last season would have put him around 5th in the Napoli squad, and his key passes would rank 6th. Of course, Verdi could be great for the Little Donkeys, as they'll have superior teammates and better coaching to bring out the talent he clearly has. But with the loss of Sarri and a huge chunk of money by their standards, Napoli need a guaranteed success, and they could have made a better bet. Forward Nikola Kalinic. Technically, Nikola Kalinic joined Milan in 2017, but the Croatian's move was a loan with an obligation to buy, meaning that in a year in which he was involved in 9 league goals for the Rossoneri, the club are stuck shelling out nearly €25 million for the veteran striker. While they could have immediately sold Kalinic on to Atletico Madrid, Milan are blocking the deal while actively seeking buyers for the Portuguese forward Andre Silva. But it looks like Gattuso and Simeone are betting on the wrong horse. Last season, though he only netted twice in Serie A, Silva's expected goals per 90 was actually 0.38, exactly the same as Kalinic. And that's despite him making just 7 starts, while Kalinic made 20. Silva is also 8 years younger than his teammate, and takes nearly 3 shots inside the box per match, while Kalinic is under 2, his worst tally in 3 years. If Milan want to ease their burden on young star Patrick Cutrone, or if Atleti want a long-term heir to Diego Costa, they do better to put their faith in Silva coming good, rather than a 30-year-old who missed out on a World Cup final because his ego wouldn't let him accept a substitute's role. Forward, Vinicius Jr. If we're totally honest with you, we have no idea if Vinicius Jr. is going to be a world beater or a donkey, a Neymar or a Denilson. But the problem is, Real Madrid have no idea either. Los Blancos paid €46 million to sign the Brazilian when he was just 16 and had only played 17 minutes of senior football for Flamengo. He arrived at the Bernabeu reeling from the loss of Cristiano Ronaldo and desperate for a superstar to fill the number 7 shirt. But while Neymar had scored over 100 goals and won the Copa Libertadores by the time Barcelona signed him, Vinicius has just 14 in 69 appearances. And so even if he does have some star potential, it could be some time before it becomes a reality. Meanwhile, players like Douglas Costa, Malcolm and Felipe Anderson have all moved for similar fees, suggesting that Real might have been better off putting their money towards a proven contributor. We'll see if Vinicius can prove us wrong. Forward, Wayne Rooney. When fans of an MLS side which finished bottom of its conference and second bottom of the league as a whole don't want you, you know that something's wrong. Wayne Rooney's long-awaited move to America came to fruition in 2018, with the Man United legend joining DC United in the hope of breaking their 14-year title drought. It's a strange move for DC as the side made its name in the early days of MLS by scouting youngsters from South America, but the rest of the league caught up and began to add unwanted talent from Europe too, leaving DC behind. The capital club refused to spend big money on stars and cut costs across the board, with support staff often filling multiple roles behind the scenes. So spending $13 million over 2 years on Wayne Rooney seems like a move designed purely to draw fans to the new stadium rather than improve the team. The former England international's contract will push DC's United to breaking point, and given the fact he hasn't scored in the second half of the season at Everton, it's doubtful whether he can perform a limited role anymore. DC unfortunately looks set for another season at the bottom. So thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, why not watch this lovely video right here? And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.